I'm going to introduce to you a really interesting guy who has been here with his wife, working and volunteering for many years. And he's a really interesting man, a very intelligent guy, and he's got an interesting story to tell us about a trip that he took that a lot of people may want to hear about. Ronnie Rackley, where are you, Ronnie? Come on up, Ronnie. He served in the U.S. Air Force and spent 13 months in Vietnam in country as a sentry dog handler. Recently, he participated in an honor flight to Washington, D.C., and he's going to talk about that experience. For those of you that have never been on the honor flight, this is going to explain to you why it's so important to sign up for it and how you do that. So let me give you Ronnie right now. Thanks, Ronnie.
Not according to my wife.
They can use his own mic.
Okay, here we are. Another day in paradise at the Air Museum. For those of you that don't know who I am, Ronnie Rackley. I did 8 years in the Air Force, 13 months in Vietnam, Air Force Security Police, and I was a dog handler. When I got out of the service, I went to work at the Lawrence Livermore Lab for a year with this weird idea that I wanted to be a cop. And so a year later, I was hired by the Antioch Police Department, where I spent 26.5 years and again, worked dogs. I had 4 dogs throughout my career, and the honor of being the first narcotics dog handler in Antioch. I had the first dog that was capable of tracking, first dog capable of article searching. Even got the opportunity to take my dog down to the border at San Ysidro and spend time at a U.S. Customs training class, and then numerous hours searching vehicles coming into the United States. And when you're down there with Border Patrol and vehicles are coming in, you don't need a search warrant. You can just randomly stop and search whatever vehicle you want for as long as you want. So I had a pretty good time down there. My career ended at Antioch by another dream coming true. I always said that if I could ever get a job with a large police department, working as a full-time firearms instructor and range master, by God, I'd take it, and I did. I got hired by the Fresno County Sheriff's Office, went down there for about 12 years, and spent all the time I had working on the range, teaching firearms. I had to maintain over 2,500 guns. Every deputy down there was issued a primary duty weapon, off-duty weapon, a rifle, and a shotgun, and they were all my responsibility. And you could go to a function or gathering with all the deputies and reserves and the trainees, and if you asked them who that gun belonged to, they'd damn sure let you know it belonged to Ron Rackley, and he was just loaning it to them. So they learned quickly to take care of my guns. After I left Fresno County, I went to work for a company called Evans Group. They were a law enforcement product company. Only I didn't have to sell anything. All I did was demonstrate. And I demonstrated numerous firearms. We represented Springfield Armory, Mossberg, Surefire for suppressors and lights, and it was a really great job, and I did a lot of traveling. Unfortunately, I was still living in California. And California, I forget what year it was, but at the stroke of midnight, about a dozen new anti-gun laws went into effect, and I looked at my wife, Sherry, and said, we're getting out of here. I'm not staying here. And I'm taking my 30-round magazines and my 200 and something guns and all my bullets, and I'm leaving, and I ain't never looked back. And I don't miss it. Sherry and I have been married for 30 years. That's a story in and of itself. I fell in love with her when I was 14. She was the older woman. She was 18. And Anyway, she got married, and her and her husband moved away, and I still refer to that as the day she left me. And about 26 years later, I went looking for her. Just wanted to see her, see how she was. And, you know, we all make mistakes, and here I am. Now we've been married for 30. So that worked out. Sherry's the kind of person that gets things done. And this honor flight's one of them. It would not have been possible had it not been for the behind-the-scenes work that Sherry did to get me involved in the honor flight. She also knows my love for dogs. Spent a lot of time helping me take care of a couple of my police dogs. And she's the one that found the program through a trainer that we know that had trained 2 of my police dogs. And ultimately, I ended up with a PTSD dog, service dog, Charlie. The value of Charlie and all his training came to the area of about $16,000, but it was absolutely free to me. And when we went back to Ohio, we had to spend 2 weeks back there so I could do a transition training with the dog. And the company that paid for the dog walked in the day we were checking out of the motel, and they wrote a check for our motel bill. So the company, I believe it's, I want to say Blue Line, no? Yes, Blue Line Funding. My wife is going like this back there in the doorway, so I got it right. They really took good care of us. And if you're looking for a program to donate to, Blue Line Funding is a good program, and they're providing dogs to veterans and to police officers with PTSD and pretty much anybody else that needs it. Did the Veterans History Project. Like I said earlier, I got a postcard from the Library of Congress telling me that my project is being reviewed for being added to the Library of Congress and maintaining my history for future family members. Okay, the other thing I did, I worked for the group, Evans Group. I think I brought that up already. We repped all the different companies, but one of the things that I really enjoyed about the Evans Group is once a year, we would go somewhere for training. And one year we ended up in some godforsaken place in Texas. I have no idea where we were. All I saw was sagebrush and rabbits and things like that. But it was a heck of a place for firearms guys, because we had ranges out there that went out to 1,000 and 1,500 yards if you could shoot that far. We had a man and woman come in that did all our cooking for us. We lived in a bunkhouse. We ate in the chow facility that was provided there. And we did a training day and night. We trained with night vision. We trained with all our different firearms and suppressors and things like that. It was truly a wonderful job, but all good things come to an end, and they already had a representative here in this area, so when I decided to get out of California, I lost that opportunity. But they did give us an amazing amount of free training, not to mention free flashlights and stuff like that too. So, as I said, Sherry's the reason I got the honor flight. She put my name in, she did all the behind the scenes work, got it done. It took approximately 3 years for my name to get to the top of the list and them to call and say that I was going. And I was pretty excited. On the flight to DC, it was pretty nondescript, but when we got to DC, all of a sudden we were surrounded by veterans, bunches and bunches of veterans. I think there was over 90 people that were there with our group during the period of time that we were there, and we spent all our time with them. I guess I should be showing you some of these pictures. Let's see what we got up here. If there's one thing that Sherry knows, she'll tell you that we went to the Gettysburg National Battlefield. And within the confines of the Gettysburg National Battlefield, there are over 5,000 monuments and memorials. And the only reason that Sherry will tell you that is because she'll follow on by saying, and Ronnie's got a picture of every damn one of them. Because we took a lot of pictures there. There was one night I wanted to get a picture. I think it was Sherman on a horse, I'm not sure. But it's like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night in a cemetery. And the car is parked kind of on a little downhill slope, and I've got the camera on a little miniature tripod on the trunk, and I'm trying to take this timed exposure picture of this particular memorial. So that's the kind of misery I put my wife through on a regular basis. Here, a lot of the monuments that you see around Washington, D.C. they're specific but non-specific in relationship to the military, but had to get a picture of them just to be on the safe side. Oh, there we go. Okay, this is a D-Day address by Eisenhower. I don't remember specifically where in Washington this was, but the tour bus we were on took us to virtually every monument, memorial, or significant artifact that was available for us to see. There's a really good-looking guy I happened to see sitting there by this memorial, so I've got his picture. As you can tell by the picture, one of the things the Honor Flight people did was make sure that we got t-shirts and hats so that we were readily recognizable. And our caretakers got a different shirt so they could be readily recognizable. So I'm wearing that shirt today, but it's under my Warhawk Museum shirt, so you're not seeing it. Pretty self-explanatory here in the Capitol. I thought it was significant that at the time we were there, the flags just happened to be at half-mast. Veterans Memorial, specifically the disabled veterans. I felt like this particular memorial was a little bit, it was kind of shortchanging the disabled veterans. I felt like they deserved more of a memorial than what they got.
Yes.
I went to Vietnam, I served. I came back in one piece, but there were a lot of guys that didn't. And there were a lot of guys that just didn't come back at all. So this to me was a little bit shortchanging the veterans that have been disabled. This is more homage to veterans and those that were injured and suffered. I don't know how this got in here, but all right, it did. I'll leave it at that. I come to understand is that somebody told me that the reason they have Marines is because the Army needs heroes too, or was it Army need? I forget exactly how that goes, but depending on what group you're with, you just make that statement and then you back off and watch the fireworks, because there's going to be debate. Very moving picture here with a disabled veteran kind of shadowed in the background on this glass memorial. This one speaks for itself. A lot of you here probably recognize this and may have been involved in being a stretcher bearer during your time there, whatever war you served in. If you can't read what that says, what it says is, I don't care how prepared you are, When it actually happens, it's a different story. And that's a true statement. And I saw that flag sticking there by that tree and just had to take that picture. There you go. That's the emblem we've all been waiting for already. Come on, come on. That's the one. Air Force. All right. Never mind. United States Navy Memorial. Some of you guys can appreciate that. It's actually a very nice memorial, and I was particularly interested in and moved by it because I have a niece and a nephew both currently serving active duty Navy. This is representing Navy SEALs and Rangers. PBRs, gunboats. Anybody familiar with gunboats from Vietnam War? A couple of them back here, yes. I would not have done that job. Just no way. Put me out there with a dog. My mom always said she never worried about me when I was in Vietnam. Well, she kind of didn't. And when I was working the street, because she knew I had a dog that was going to take care of me. More Navy SEALs. A sailor. That's a pretty strong statement there for the Navy. I don't, they call that a flagpole, I guess? Somebody want to correct me? Okay. The Marines, here you go. It's all yours. I don't know why I took so many pictures of this, but there they are. This is the Air Force Memorial. Aim high or something like that. I don't know about aiming high, but I can remember coming in off the wire at night and all we had to eat was powdered eggs and fried salami for breakfast. That was the modern Air Force. Nighttime, it was sea rations. If you were lucky and had a Light-All unit close to your post, you'd poke a little hole in the sea ration can, you'd open up the Light-All unit, and you'd put the sea ration can on the manifold of the motor inside there, and after about 10 or 15 minutes, it would heat up, and it was completely heated because as it vibrated, it turned the can. So you could have a hot meal.
That's awesome.
I believe this is also the Marine Corps, but I can't be sure. I don't remember. Is that Air Force? Okay. I know that's Air Force. There's the Pentagon, taken from Arlington. Pentagon again. And there you go. That's a great shot that I took from Arlington. I was pretty pleased with that. This is part of the Air Force Memorial here. And that was items that were left at the Air Force Memorial in the same manner that items are left at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. Even though this was the Air Force Memorial, it applies to all veterans, all branches of service, because everybody, in one way or another, sacrificed. Medal of Honor recipients for Air Force personnel. Air Medal of Honor recipients there dating back to World War I. Changing of the guard at Arlington. Love those haircuts. That's why I keep mine the way I do. I want to emulate the, yeah, there we go, see? This guy could not crack a smile if his life depended on it. And as he's marching back out and in, he is so focused that I don't think there's anything you could do that would distract him from his mission. Very, very, very focused. Guards at the tomb of the unknown soldier. I don't know if many of you know this, but they're out there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365, don't care what the weather is. And if the weather gets to the point to where they're told, well, you don't have to go out because it's a certain temperature or whatever the conditions might be, they ignore it. They go out anyway. They will not let anything deter them from serving on that post. The weapons inspection, it's a very mechanical and methodical inspection. They spend a lot of time on it, and they do it several times an hour. In the background, all the people in the red shirts and the blue shirts are members of our honor flight. That was the completion of the inspection and the changing. Here is a wreath provided by the honor flight participants for placement at the tomb of the unknown soldier. Some of you may not know this. There will never be another person placed in the tomb of the unknown soldier. And the last person that was put in there was ultimately taken out because he was ultimately identified through DNA. So now that we have DNA, there will never be another unknown soldier placed in that tomb. These are members of our honor flight that were selected to place the honor flight wreath at the memorial. Anybody recognize this? There it is. Look how long it took, how many years, how many lifetimes it took to finally get a memorial honoring the greatest generation. The Lincoln Memorial, it's beyond famous. There have been movies filmed there. If you remember when they did the one movie, Nixon actually snuck out of the White House and went over to the memorial in the middle of the night and engaged in a conversation with people that were there that were really against the war. And his Secret Service agents finally showed up and grabbed him and took him back to the White House. But there are rumors about underground tunnels that can get you all over from the White House. The price of freedom. If you look at those stars, each one of those stars represents 100 service members that were killed in the line of duty. A lot of stars representing a lot of veterans. I took that particular picture because you could see the Capitol between the pillars, and I thought it was a pretty sight. Judy, where are you at? This one's for you, Judy. There she is. We'll delve into that just a little bit more in a couple of minutes. When we were at the wall, I'm supposed to be following my outline, and I'm just kind of not doing that. Sherry wanted to sit down for a minute. We'd been at the wall for a while. I got a couple of names traced. And I saw this young lady, 16, 17. She'd been with I guess it was a tour group from her school, and then at the point in time that I saw them, they were splitting up, kind of going their own direction for a little while. And she was standing there, and she was crying. So I walked up to her and I said, I don't know who you're crying for, but I understand your pain. I know a couple of guys whose names are on that wall, and I just want you to know that I understand. And this young lady said something to me, and again, her age is what, I was astonished. She looked at me and she says, I'm not crying for any one individual that's listed on that wall. I don't know anybody on that wall. I'm crying over the concept of war. For a lady that was that young to be that perceptive, I felt like that was a really prolific statement. And I gave her a kiss on the forehead and gave her a hug. Don't know her name, we'll probably never see her again, but I will not forget her. Now with this particular monument, I started getting a little emotional. And then, as I'm looking at it, I felt Judy. I felt Judy put her arm around me. I felt Judy tell me it was going to be okay. I don't think the female veterans of that war get the credit they deserve. Here's that good-looking guy again. He keeps showing up. This particular memorial, the first picture I ever got of it was 2 years after it was erected. I still have that original picture. I had it blown up into a 24 by 36. I have it in the garage in a box, but I still have it. They had a similar memorial, not quite this pose, but in California they had a similar memorial. And unfortunately, one night somebody went up there and chiseled the machine gun, the M16, out of the hand of the soldier and stole it. So I don't know if that was ever replaced, but that was the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Sacramento. And this was at the Franklin D. Roosevelt Memorial. First time I'd ever seen it. In the previous trip Sherry and I had made to Washington, D.C., it wasn't there. Something about that eagle. If it's there, you got to get a picture. Kind of a self-explanatory statement. And a lot of these statements are very prolific in content. So the Depression era was depicted there at this memorial. There's FDR's wheelchair. And I'm out of pictures, which you're probably happy to hear. We had a dinner. We had a dinner for the honor flight. I think it was next to our last night there. And if nothing else, this trip was full of amazing experiences. And another example of that is that at the dinner, there was a young Army major sitting at our table, and then there was an Army, can't remember if he was an E3 or E4, but both in uniform. The major, she has an interesting story in and of herself. She was on the tour for herself, by herself, but also on her tour was a 97-year-old man, and he was unaccompanied. So everybody was going out of the way to try to help this gentleman on and off the bus and what have you, and this young major just took over. She more or less became his provider on this tour. And then at one point in Washington, D.C., I was shocked. We got off the bus and this girl comes up, "Hi, Dad," gives him a hug and what have you. Well, it was the man's daughter that lived in Washington, D.C., but for whatever reason didn't have the time or desire to escort her father on this trip. And there were a lot of things I could have said, but Sherry would have punched me in the stomach because I didn't think too highly of the young lady, but I thought an awful lot of that Army major that put all her time and effort into helping that man during his tour. At the dinner, I got up and spoke about dogs. Everybody had the opportunity to make any kind of statement they wanted to make about the war, good or bad or indifferent. So I did get up and give a presentation on dogs, which everybody knows that I'll do if I get half an audience. I'll start talking about the dogs and everything they did for us. The young guy that was sitting at the table, the young Army guy, I I asked him, you know, is there a drugstore around here somewhere? You know, for some reason, the dummy from TSA, and I was going to use a stronger word, but Sue's watching me close, so I'll just say dummy. At TSA, decided that my bar of soap and my deodorant were a threat to national security, and he's confiscated them at the airport. All right, he's got a job to do, but Jesus, he's making up the rules as he goes along. So I asked this young Army guy about where I could go to get deodorant and toothpaste and soap. And oh, there's a drugstore right down the street here. He said, just, what do you need? So I told him what I was interested in. He said, I'll go get it for you. Well, he left the dinner. He went down to the drugstore. He bought what I needed, brought it back, and would not let me pay him for it. Now, I know in retirement I'm making a hell of a lot more money than he is on active duty, but his honor to me was not letting me pay for it. The trip, like I said, was full of prolific happenings, and it was one of the greatest experiences I've had in many, many years, if not my entire life, other than coming back from Vietnam in one piece. Physically, I don't know about mentally. My wife she'll discuss that with you. When we got back, we were greeted at the airport. Well, let me preface that. There was a couple on our flight. His name is Daryl, and his wife's name was Elena. And he had contact with the governor's office. And he was trying to make arrangements for the governor to meet our plane when we came back here at Boise. Governor had some kind of prior arrangement, don't know what it was, but he sent the Idaho Speaker of the House to meet our aircraft when we got back. And the Speaker was there with his wife. They welcomed each one of us back individually. I remember some kind of statement about this being the greeting you should have got when you came back the first time. And then he gave us each of us a challenge coin from the governor. So I thought that was a pretty nice thing. The hallway from where our gate was, as we got off the plane and walked up the hallway was lined with honor guards. VFW, American Legion, all the organizations were represented, the flags were there, the people were there. So all in all, it was a really, truly amazing experience. Judy, you were there with me the whole time. I can't thank my wife enough, but Sherry's the kind of person that just makes things happen. And when she did this, it was truly a gift of love and an experience that I will not forget.
We have a few minutes for questions. Anybody have questions? Hold on one second, okay.
Sherry, would you like to give that to him? Hold on.
Where did you go? What date?
Okay.
September.
What date?
We were in September, which was a great time to be in D.C.
What year?
This year.
Or, no,
Oh,
22.
22, yeah, this year. Last
22,
year.
last year. Another question? Well, if those of you who, yes. You went, and you also, what, pardon me? You went in on that trip in September? His son went with him in September? Okay. Great. Glad you went. Yes, sir.
We have an on-site organization in this state now that's doing this.
No, the original one was Lance. He did the World War II one, yeah. And that was shut down after the World War II element was finished in the state. And so another one has not been created. It has to become a nonprofit. It's quite a job. So Sherry's going to share with you how you can sign up for this as a Vietnam veteran. Right in the mic, get in the mic.
The website,
On the mic, there.
the website, okay, the website that you're going to want to go to is veterans@freedomhonorflight.org. And there will be an application on that site, and you can nominate any veteran that has served. And that's what I found 4 years ago, and put in the application for Ron to go.
So,
And I've got this written down. I'm in the front in the gift shop if anybody wants to copy this when they get ready to leave.
yes. Yes? Somebody had their hands up? Yes.
What is an honor flight?
What is an honor flight? That's a great question. The honor flight is a flight where volunteers will take, in the case that I went 4 different times, World War II veterans first to see their memorial in Washington, D.C. It's all free to the veteran. It's completely free to you as a veteran. In the World War II case, an accompanying, so every veteran had to have someone go with them to accompany them. And that person, in my case, I went 4 times, had to pay their own fare. But the veteran's completely free. It was just an incredible experience to do that. The whole thing is arranged. In Ronnie's case, the same thing. Ronnie didn't have to pay anything for this. It's all pre-organized.
And Sherry was only $600.
And Sherry was only $600. That's right. That's a nominal amount of money. What they're working through now is the national organization, because Idaho does not have a Vietnam veteran honor flight organization. So you'll go through the national organization, the group that actually was created. Ronnie joined other, as he told you probably, joined other veterans from other states. So the website that Sherry gave you, we will have it up here at the front desk. I really highly recommend that you apply for it. It may take you 2 years to get it. How many years did it take you? 3? It may, because there are a lot of Vietnam veterans in this country, but get your name in now, and then you will be called eventually to
But
go.
our group, there was over 90 veterans total.
Yeah, over 90 veterans throughout the United States that went with Ronnie's group, and you just meet people, they'd be friends the rest of your life, you know, the commonality of your experience, you know. So, and it doesn't matter if you're in country or out of country, by the way. It's just if you served during the Vietnam War period of time. So, Ronnie, I want to give you this, even though you belong to us at the Warhawk, and I know you see
Thank
these
you.
all the time, but this one's for you.
Thank you very
So,
much.
thank you very much. Wasn't he wonderful?
Very wonderful.
Sherry is wonderful. We're very, very blessed to have both of them want to hang out here with us. Hope some of you will want to do that too. So we'll have a wonderful, wonderful January 2023, and we'll see you in February. Thanks for being here. Bye.